All right, class, today we're just simply doing long division. So we're going to divide 432 by 13. So I'm going to set up my long division. And the answer is no, you may not use a calculator. We have to recall that we have to look at how many times 13 goes into 4. Now, since we can't fit 13 into 4, we put a 0 there and we think about how many 13s go into 43. So 13, 26, 39, that would be 3 of them. And we're going to subtract 39. And we're going to go remainder of 4, and then we're going to bring down our 2. And how many 13s go into 42? Well, that would also be 3. Minus 39. And we got 3. And now, since we still have a remainder, we can go ahead and bring down a 0 if we wanted to. 13 into 30, that would be 2 times. Minus 26. We're going to get 4. So let's bring another 0 down. And we can kind of see this is going to keep going. So let's actually write it this way. Our final answer was 33. And we have to think back to our remainder after we got done dividing was 3. Okay. We could also list this as 33 and 3/13. So let's do some polynomial division now. So we have to remember we're dividing 2x to the 4th minus x cubed minus 2 by 2x squared plus x plus 1. Okay, so I'm going to put this under my division sign. So 2x to the 4th and then minus x cubed. Now we have some terms missing here. It's going to be very beneficial for us to kind of fill in the blanks. So since we don't have an x squared term, we would write it as 0x squared. Same for our linear term. Okay, this is something you're going to want to get in the habit to. Technically, it is possible to do this division without these missing terms, but you have to kind of keep a mental hold that they're there. You have to remind yourself that they're there. So it's better to just write them down. And now 2x squared plus x plus 1, that's not missing any term. So I'm going to go ahead and fill it in. And so we're just going to look at it. We're going to look at the lead terms first. So 2x squared, 2x to the 4th. And I have to kind of think to myself, this is kind of like a fill in the blank problem. 2x squared times what gives me 2x to the 4th? Well, normally, if we're solving this like a normal equation, we divide. So I got to think 2x to the 4th divided by 2x squared would just be x squared. So 2x squared times x squared is 2x to the 4th. Okay, but we're going to go through and do that with the remaining terms. So x times x squared, that would be x cubed. And then 1 times x squared is just x squared. Now remember, when we do this with numbers, we just subtract. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to subtract. We got 2x 4th minus 2x to the 4th. The lead term should always cancel out. If it doesn't cancel out, then you've done something wrong and you need to start over. Now, careful with this. Negative x cubed minus x cubed, that is negative 2x cubed. And then 0x squared minus x squared, that is negative x squared. And then we'll bring down the 0x for the next term. And then we start the process over again. So we look at 2x squared and negative 2x cubed. So I say negative 2x squared times what gives me, positive 2x squared gives me negative 2x cubed. And that would be a negative x. So I get negative 2x cubed right there. And then follow through with the remaining terms. We got x times negative x. That's negative x squared. And then 1 times negative x. That's negative x. I'm starting to notice a pattern here. Now, all these are negative. When I subtract a negative, I end up with positive. So I'm actually just going to switch these to plus signs to now remind me to add. Negative 2x cubed plus 2x cubed, that cancels. And then this as well cancels. And then I just left with x and then I bring down my negative 2. Okay. Now the fact that I was able to cancel this term means I would get a plus 0 here as well, but we don't need to write that in our final answer. So the fact that we now have an x term, but our dividend, our divisor is an x squared, a quadratic, tells us we're done. When this degree is less than this degree, we're done. So we're going to write our final answer. Write a summary statement in both polynomial form. So polynomial form would be 2x to the fourth. Actually, let me change colors so it's not all blending together. 2x to the fourth minus x cubed minus 2. We can drop the missing terms now. That was just for computations. Equals, here is one of the terms, x squared minus x, and then times this thing, 2x squared plus x plus 1. And then our remainder was x minus 2. So I'm going to write plus, I still will put it in parentheses just to keep consistent, x minus 2. That's polynomial form. Polynomial form. Okay. Now, when you're writing it, and I give you these both because on your homework it might ask for one or the other. So I'm showing you both now. Fraction form, that would be 2x to the fourth minus x cubed minus 2 would equal x squared minus x plus x minus 2 divided by 2x squared plus x plus 1. This is fraction form. All right, go ahead and use long division to solve this next part. All right, so we're going to start it the same way we did before, 3x plus 2, and then I've got 3x cubed plus 5x squared plus 8x plus 7. So let's start. I won't write out as much this time, but 3x times what gives me 3x cubed? That would just be a simple x squared. And so 3x times x squared gives us 3x cubed like we want. Now we only have two terms, so it's 2 times x squared is 2x squared. Subtract. These cancel, and we get 3x squared, and we'll only bring down 8x. And then we got 3x times what gives me x squared? Well, that would just be plus x. So we get 3x squared here. 2 times x is 2x. And then we're going to subtract again. So we got this cancels. We get 6x. And then we'll bring down our 7. 3x times what gives me 6x? Well, they both have the x in common, so we can just look at 3 times what gives me 6. That would just be 2. So this gives me 6x, and then 2 times 2 is 4. And then we'll subtract, cancel that out, and we get a remainder of 3. So our polynomial form would be 3x plus 2 times x squared plus x plus 2. Again, this is polynomial form, plus our remainder of just 3. I guess we can put that in parentheses. We'll take, for fraction form, it was just x squared plus x plus 2 plus our remainder 3 divided by 3x plus 2. That was our fraction form. So needless to say, this is going to take some getting used to. It's going to require patience, and it's going to require plenty of practice. So let's go ahead and do another one. Okay, we've got x to the fourth. We've got 3x cubed. We got plus 6x squared minus 3x plus 5. Now notice, again, I have not, let me redo that. That's sloppy. Do I have an undo anywhere? I guess I'll just have to live with it. We don't have any missing terms. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0 as far as our degrees are concerned. We were missing a couple terms in the first problem. We are missing a term here, so we'll actually write that out. X squared plus 0x plus 1. Okay, so x squared times what gives me x to the fourth? That would just be a simple x squared. So I end up with x to the fourth. Then we follow through with our other two terms. 0x times x squared would be 0x cubed. And then 1 times x squared would just be x squared. Subtract, subtract, subtract. Cancel. We get negative 3 minus 0 is just negative 3, so that doesn't change. We got a 5x squared here. And then we've got a negative 3x that we bring down. All right. Now on to the next term. We're going to take x squared. We're going to multiply it by something to give me negative 3x cubed. Well, that would just be a minus 3x. Negative 3x cubed. 0 times negative 3, that would be a 0x squared. And 1 times negative 3x is negative 3x. All right. Now, we're always subtracting, but when we subtract a negative, it changes it to a positive. And it changes it to a positive here. So this cancels, as it always should. Then we get 5x squared here. And this actually cancels out too. So we get 0x. And then we bring down our 5. So now, looks like final one, x squared times what gives me 5x squared. These should usually be the easiest when you have the degree are the same. Just look at the constants and think through the multiplications as if we didn't have the variable there. So this would be plus 5. So we get 5x squared here. 0x times 5x is 0x. And then 1 times 5. And look at that. Everything's going to cancel. That's kind of nice. That will happen from time to time. And it's honestly going to happen as we go on. So we got a remainder of 0. So when we write out our final answer in polynomial form, we'll just write x squared plus 1 times x squared minus 3x plus 5. And then our fraction form would just be x squared minus 3x plus 5. We'd usually say plus 0 over x squared plus 1, but when 0 is in the numerator of a fraction, that's always going to be 0. Okay, so again, practice makes perfect. Give this one a chance. All right, so we're writing it out. Now we're definitely missing some terms in our main term. So x cubed plus 0x squared plus 0x minus 1. There we go. That's a lot better. And we have x plus 1. No missing terms there. So we'll sit through it. X times what gives me x cubed. That will give me x squared. Okay. And I would advise when you come to this times this equals this, always write this down immediately after. You should always get that. And that's not a negative. Let me try to erase that without being, oh well. Let me just write it back in. You can always double check your work, but the whole point is to get this times this to match this. So you don't even have to necessarily think about it. Then we got 1 times x squared is x squared. Subtract, subtract. This cancels, and we're left with negative x squared, and then we'll bring down our 0x. So I got x times what gives me negative x squared. That would be a minus x. And 1 times negative x is negative x. And then when we subtract, remember we're changing that to addition. So this again cancels, and we just get x. And we'll bring down our negative 1. And then something times something gives it itself. That's always just multiplying by 1. We have x, and then we have 1, subtract, subtract. Careful, these do cancel, but this actually gives us negative 2. So again, in our polynomial form, this would be x plus 1 times x squared minus x plus 1, and then plus a negative 2, or rather minus 2. Probably should just wrote minus 2, but I'm a rebel, so fraction form would be x squared minus x plus 1 minus, we'll put the minus there that time, x, or 2 over x plus 1. All right, one more set of examples, and then I want you guys to try the exit ticket without my guidance on it. So we got x cubed minus x squared minus x minus 15. Then we got x minus 3. All right. So x times something gives me x cubed. Well, we've seen that before. That's just x squared. Negative 3 times x squared is negative 3x squared. So we subtract. This ends up being adding. So we got 2x squared. And then we bring down the negative x. X times something gives me 2x squared. Well, I know it's going to need to be an x, but we also need to multiply by a 2. Okay, so we got 2x squared. Negative 3 times 2x is negative 6x. Add, subtract. This cancels, and we're left with 5x. Oh, we're going to get another nice answer. Bring down our negative 15. X times 5 something gives me 5x. That would be plus 5. So 5x, and then negative 3 times negative 5. Negative 3 times 5 is negative 15. Pardon me. Both of these cancels, and we're left with the remainder of 0. So again, polynomial would be x minus 3 times x squared plus 2x plus 15, or plus 5, pardon me. Let me erase that. There we go. And then we have fraction form, which will just be x squared plus 2x plus 5. All right, go ahead and give this one a chance. All right, so we've got 4x cubed. We got plus 9x squared minus 3x minus 10. So we've got x times something gives me 4x cubed. So we got a 1, we got a 4 that we know that it's going to involve a 4, and then it's going to involve x squared. So I got 4x cubed. Again, once I know this, I know it's supposed to give me this, so I'll just write it down automatically. And then 2 times 4x squared would give me 8x squared. Subtract, subtract, cancel, cancel. Oh, sorry, that's just x squared. We'll let that go. And then bring down our negative 3x. So then we do it again. X times what gives me x squared? That would give me plus x. And then we know that 2 times x is 2x. And then do your subtraction. This cancels. We're left with negative 3 minus 2. That's negative 5x. And then we bring down a negative 10. X times something gives me negative 5x. That'd be a minus 5. So negative 5x. And then 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. And then so when we subtract here, we can switch our signs to pluses, cancel those out, and we're left with a remainder of 0. So once again, our polynomial form would just be x plus 2 times 4x squared plus x minus 5. And then our fraction form would be just 4x squared plus x minus 5. Go ahead and give the exit ticket a chance. Thanks for watching.